Hello. So 2 years ago, I sold 80% of my craft room on Marketplace and a yard sale. And then this past spring, I put the rest of everything into a crafty supply consignment sale up in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. And after all of that, I sold 80% of my craft room. I just had too much stuff and I was not doing anything with it. So I started fresh. And as far as sewing patterns go, after I sold all of those sewing patterns I'm showing you on Marketplace, this is all I was left with. Actually, a little bit less than this. So hold on. Okay, so I took out everything that wasn't in the original stack. So I was left with this, and then these, and like 4 or 5 of these. So, but this is what I was left with. And you saw, I'll do the math for you. I counted them up, and I sold 128 patterns on Marketplace. Now, and that was most of them. I put them in the yard sale and they didn't sell. Even putting them 2 for $1, they did not sell. So I put them on Marketplace in bundles like you saw, and they sold like crazy. I made almost $300 doing it that way, just FYI. And I honestly didn't have any to take up to the consignment sale back in April. So this is what I kept. That's it. And I was completely content because at the time, 2 years ago, I was out of garment sewing and I'd moved on to other things. Other types of sewing and getting more into doll collecting and that kind of thing. So I was content with this. This has a lot of my very first patterns. I'm trying to find it. This one. This is my very first sewing pattern I ever bought. Back in the early 2000s when I was first getting into sewing. That kind of thing. So the ones that I kept are, this is one of my very first ones too. Isn't it cute? You know, they're in pretty bad shape, so obviously I'm not going to sell something like that. And they're, you know, more sentimental than anything these days. But, so this is all I had. Completely content. Had no intentions of, and you saw all the fabric I kind of sold too on Marketplace. I had no intention of getting back into garment sewing, maybe getting into making costumes for the family, that kind of thing. But I started, you know, thrifting, looking for dolls, and then I would come across sewing patterns and stuff. So I did start to accumulate a little bit of sewing patterns, but I was really picky. So these are some of those that I picked up at yard sales. Yard sales, consignment sales, thrift stores, that kind of thing here lately. With, again, no real intention, you know, just kind of wanted to, they were cheap, you know, they were either $1 or less. And yeah, so this is kind of my vibe for the last 2 years, right? And then the whole Joann's, then the whole, I guess, sewing industry is changing and shifting. And as we all know, Joann's is gone. And right now, and the sewing pattern companies have liquidated, blah, 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 blah. We all know this. So, I am not immune, as you can see. Last week, when I saw somebody post about McCall patterns being 99 cents at Hobby Lobby, now, I haven't been to Hobby Lobby in years. And I saw that, and I was like, oh, that's crazy. You know, they're in pretty bad shape, so obviously I'm not going to sell something like that. So because their sewing stuff seems to get smaller and smaller and smaller. So anyway, but last week saw that posting, and Lucas and I ran to the closest Hobby Lobby I have, which is a pretty small one. I just kind of wanted to see, you know, I was like, gosh, for 99 cents, they haven't been, because I've complained to my husband a few times through this whole sewing pattern liquidation situation online, that I remember when they were 99 cents and my mother and I would go and there was a limit of 10 and we would buy a whole bunch and then do separate transactions. I mean, it was a hobby in itself. Sewing patterns, accumulating sewing patterns for my mother and I, it was a hobby in itself. We loved doing it. And I really don't, I never had any plans to stop. I just had too many. And, you know, with this going on, I foresee the next 2 or 3 years, I'll have to do a big purge again. But I'm okay with that. So anyway, last week went and got like 13 patterns. I looked through the drawers. I just looked through the drawers. It was really, really picked over. So I just looked through the drawers. And there are a couple of pants patterns and things that I'm looking for. Spoiler alert, I found them. And I was like, okay, I'm good with these 13. I was like, well, I really like those pants patterns. And I do have another Hobby Lobby that's a little bit further out. So Lucas and I went out yesterday, and we went there first so that I would have ample time with a toddler to look through every single drawer. They had like 7 drawers. They were not picked through. They still had a lot, and they were still mostly organized. And so, as you can see, I just started. If they had my size and something that I remotely would maybe sew up, I stacked it. I made a stack. So I thought, instead of just showing you the haul, you know, I'm almost getting sick of seeing the McCall's 99 cent sewing pattern haul posts. Thought I'd do something a little bit different and kind of show background of where sewing patterns fit into my sewing room right now, and go ahead and get these organized and put in a spot. Obviously, my little designated bin is now full and overflowing, even though I am utilizing them. Those are sewing projects all cut out. I did a batch sewing thing. I did a vlog for that, so I'll post that probably. You'll see this before you see that. And then these I've already sewn up. And that's why they're in these manila envelopes. And I do want to go through and like take out the envelope and like tape it to the outside, all that kind of thing. I see a lot of sewists do that, and I really like that. And so this bin will be for that kind of thing until I fill that up. That bin will be for projects, but I could essentially move that. And then this bin is just kind of a catch-all bin. So I want to see. So I'm going to get all these reorganized and use up more of these bins, because all these bins stack really well right there. This is my little sewing. It's messy, but it's the neatest it's going to be. Hello. So that's what I'm going to do today. I thought that would be a little bit different for y'all. So stay tuned. All right, here's what I have. I've emptied these 2 out, and I have taken all the ones from the bags and sorted everything. I think it's safe to say I have the most of dresses and one pieces. So yeah, bags, crafts, home, bottoms, tops, and then this is just, I have to make a card for this. It's just kind of loungewear, pajamas. Kind of a new genre. Costumes, and then this is a new category too. This is all kids, like stuff to sew for Lucas. Jackets, vests, outerwear, and then outfits. And I consider anything an outfit if it has a top and a bottom. So like that, I'm gonna put that in the outfit. Same for that, it's an outfit. Because you could technically wear them separately. So there you go. I'll check back in. Alright, a little bit of a check-in. Looks like all of them will fit in these 2 bins. I'll probably redo my little cards, little dividers at some point, but I'm liking this. I will go through and kind of show you all of them at a glance here, just for funsies. And then this works out perfect. So this is stuff that's been cut out. Well, let me back up. This is stuff that's been matched up. So fabric and the pattern have been matched up together. They're either cut out, ready to be sewn, or need to be cut out. And this bin is full. And I'm out of those bags. So that's perfect. That means that's as many projects as I can have. And now I need to start sewing so I can get that bin emptied. So that's going to work perfect. This is going to work really well. I don't have a ton of room for growth, which is a good and bad thing. I've heard both things about the simplicity patterns. I've heard that Hobby Lobby will eventually do the same thing to simplicity patterns, but I've also heard that they are just going to keep simplicity patterns and they're just doing away with McCall's, which kind of doesn't make any sense since they're the same company, unless I'm sure there's something going on that they're not giving us privy to. But for now, I'm good. And now I'm organizing patterns that I have sewn or that have been sewn. And using these envelopes, I need more of these envelopes. But this is actually a jacket pattern of my mother's that I've kept. I've actually sewn this jacket a long, long time ago. And my mother sewed this one. But I've seen a lot of sewists do this, and I was very against this for a long, long time. But that was before, when I could just run down to the store and get another pattern when they were easy to come by. Now they're harder to source, and I don't plan on selling any more, ever. Getting rid of any more. Well, I say get rid of. I might donate them or whatever. But point is, let me back up again. Sorry, it's late in the evening and I'm running out of energy. I like this style now. I like this kind of organization now because if I've sewed it, then I've cut into it and I've used the pattern. And if I do end up selling anything or decluttering again, it would be uncut stuff. Hence, unsewn stuff. So, I feel okay with ones that I have sewn doing like that. Now, most of the other sewists I see that do this, you know, where you just cut it out, they do the back of the envelope on the back, but I'm not going to do that for now. I've just tucked it inside. And what I like about this is that I'm sure there's a method to it and there's a way to do this, but when I sew something, it won't go back in the envelope. So this works out perfect. I can just stuff it all in there. So, really excited for that. That poor little envelope is about done, but I have these that need to be labeled and done that way with, and all of this mess. So that actually was bulging full, and so I took it all out to organize it. Turns out, let me move this out of the way. Turns out it was super bulging thick because there was a whole other pattern in there. This is to a simplicity So that's Butterick, whatever. This is a Simplicity tissue pattern paper. See, Simplicity. 89.25. I haven't looked that up yet to see what that is. If I even still have it. No clue what this is. So that's why it's important to organize. So I'll look that up in a little bit. And then also, I did kind of the same thing with this. I stuffed the instructions for, okay, this is the instructions for this one. Side note, this is obviously an old pattern. It's a very 90s kind of thing. What year is it? Yeah, 94. And look at I love the instructions. I love that it's all in one big piece. I missed that. I wish they still did that, you know? So nice. I mean, I know they couldn't do that for all of them, and obviously they're not doing that at all anymore. But comparison with this, which is probably just a few years old, and you know, the instructions are like 1,000 sheets. You know, they're smaller and harder to keep up with. So, okay, side tangent over. In this envelope, I had stuffed the instructions for that dress, but also the instructions for this pattern and the instructions for another pattern that's over there. Why would I do that? So that's why I say that's why I'm going through and organizing all of this stuff. I assume this is all for this. So I'm gonna get all this and then I'll check back with you. And then we'll do the show and tell portion, where I take all these out and kind of breeze through them real fast. So stay tuned. All right, isn't that much better? So these are all things that have been sewn. These three, they've been sewn, but they didn't quite turn out. And well, these didn't quite turn out. And I'm trying to figure out what I want to do with those. So I'll just kind of tuck them out here for now. And this one I actually rebought so it's over here. I rebought it at the McCall's sale. Because one, I bought the next size up. Because I sewed this. And it was too small, of course. Even though it's super big and flowy. And I really needed a full bust adjustment in that when I did the medium. So I bought the next size up, and it was missing the collar piece by the time I got around to sewing it. So I just went ahead and bought it for $1. And so now I don't know what to do with this one. So I'll just tuck it right there. But doesn't it look nice? So the jacket and the wrap skirt I just did. This one was kind of a fail, but I don't think it was the pattern. This one I've done a few times. This one I made the dress, and I made my costume for last year. I was Joy from Inside Out. And this actually sewed up perfectly right out of the package from what I remember. So I need to revisit that and see that can be a good sloper, bodice sloper-ish for me. Because I remember I just sewed it right out of the package like a couple days before Halloween. Super last minute. And it was really nice. The bodysuits. And then the pants. I just did those pants. So, yeah. I just have a couple more of those envelopes. And then I have 10 projects there. So that's all that will fit there. So, now I thought it'd be fun to show you all of these and do a little show and tell. So let's do it. All right, first batch, just loungewear pajamas, kind of family pajamas kind of thing. I got this is the new edition. Jackets and vest, outerwear basically, and like a seasonal. This is the only bathing suit thing that I have. I had the top row, onto this one already, and then the rest I bought at the McCall's sale. Bags and accessories. I bought this one. This is one of my very first ones. I've done all of these over the years. All of those views. I did recently pick this one up at a thrift store. Crafts and home section. I had all of these already. McCall's didn't have any crafts patterns left, so this is one of my very first ones. I've made this and this and this and this over the years. I made this. This is one of my oldest ones as well. I've made one of these. And, oh, I've made the tree. And that's it from there. But I've had all of these for a long time. The crafts used to be my favorite section to get patterns from. I used to love the crafts patterns. So I used to have 3 times as much as these, but over the years kind of whittled them down to these. This is a new category for me in sewing patterns. Kid section. So this essentially would be stuff I would make for Lucas. I've had this for forever. And recently got this. I got this and these two at thrift stores. And I got these at the McCall's sale. It's probably about time to be sewing up some outfit patterns. Apparently I really like those. I've had these for forever, and that's one of my very first ones. I tried sewing these pants and they did not turn out. That was 1,000 years ago though. Obviously these are from the thrift store. I had that one for quite a while. These I got at McCall's sale. All of these here. I think I need to be... Back when I was working a corporate job, I loved the idea of, you know, these kind of things. Especially this one. Because I worked in a pretty, you know, conservative office kind of thing. And was surrounded by, even though I was in my 20s, I was surrounded by women that should have been dressing like that. But I never got around to it. Costumes are another category that I always loved acquiring. And I have never sewed a costume from an actual costume pattern. So, but I love all of these. I got these at the McCall's sale, these 3. And I've had all the rest of them. I just got this one recently. Isn't that fun? I really would like to do this one at some point. And then I got this. This is in the costume one because it's technically just some kind of young woman teenage romper from god-awful late 90s. I thought that would actually... And it was a quarter. I thought that would be cute for a, like, clown, like a vintage clown kind of costume. Which is on the list for me to make, too. I don't know why, but I'm really proud of my large bottoms, large bottoms, category of sewing patterns. Let's see. All I had before was 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. Had those 5. And I got all of these at the McCall's sale. Hobby Lobby sale. The only issue these 3 pants are the ones I was really searching for. Those are the ones I really wanted. I especially really wanted these. And they didn't quite have my size. I'm hoping I can fudge it a little bit. Because I have pants that look like this at the top. So maybe I can hack it and use those. And then use just the design element of the bottom. I don't know. I'm really excited for all of these. Don't they look good? And I actually rebought this one. I had that and I sewed it. And I actually showed it in a super old video. I'll plug it up at the top. And then I, for whatever reason, didn't keep it. And so I rebought it. I think I'd like to try it again. I love a wrap skirt. Here are tops. Really proud of these too. Because before I had 1, 2, 3. That was it. Had those 3. And then all the rest of them I bought at the McCall's sale. These 3 I rebought. See, that's the one I just showed you. You know, I bought the next size up. I rebought this. I never sewed it, but I decluttered it, and then I rebought it again. And then this one I sewed up. I don't know if I mentioned it in a video. I think I did. I'll try to link that. I'll try to put that up in the card below or up above too. Sewed this. Didn't work because I didn't know what I was doing. Bought it again online as a digital. And then I was like, well, I might as well just buy the 99 cents and get the pattern again. This one I've sewn up, and I do actually have the top. Let me get it. This is a sparkly, you know, pre-quilted knit from Joann's. I love this thing. I don't wear it a ton because it's hard for me to style. It's this really nice light pink. I did wear it to a Valentine's weekend with my husband. We went to the Biltmore, but it was freezing and rainy, and so I had my coat on the whole time, and I should have taken my coat off for at least one picture so that there would be one picture of me wearing this dang thing, but there's not. But I definitely want to sew. I actually I have like a pre-quilted like goldenrod kind of color that I wouldn't mind sewing another one out of. But yeah, so that one will be sewn in the near future for sure. Love that one. Oh, this is, I rebought this too. I had this one and I sewed it up and it was great. I sewed these 2 up at the same time actually. So now I rebought those. But yeah, the rest of them are from the McCall's sale. Love the selection. Alright, so my husband and I got married in 2019, and I had this grand plan to make my wedding dress. Well, I didn't. But I actually bought this one and did a mock-up and everything, and it was just too stressful. So I ended up ordering my dress. Here it is, nice easy picture. I ordered my dress from David's Bridal, and it was just a nice vintage-y lace number. I loved it, and I actually lost a little bit too much weight, and I should have taken it in a little bit and hemmed it, but I didn't. I just wore it, but it was perfect, and I regret nothing, but I thought if ever I get the inkling in the back of my mind to make a formal dress of some type, maybe to wear on the cruise or something, then I have patterns to do it with. Alright, last section is dresses and like one-piece overall jumpsuit kind of things. I had these 2 for a long, long time, and I bought those at the sale. These are all the ones that I had already. And all the dress patterns that I got at the McCall's sale. Really good selection. I'm really excited for this one because I used to wear this style or try to wear this style, but you know, they make it for like a B cup and I'm a D cup. So I'm excited to try one of these and actually do like a full bust adjustment on it and it actually fit my boobs. That would be awesome. So excited for that. And at some point, I want to try a, you know, structured shirt dress. Love those. And then, of course, a good old wrap dress. Can never be beat. So, okay, I think that's it. All right, and that's it. I already don't like how they are kind of in the way. So I'll have to do something about that. But this is not their final spot anyway. They actually go in the closet up on the shelf. So I'm not going to worry about it too much. I don't know why I would need my patterns right here all the time. So, because I cut fabric and stuff on the bed here. So they will need to be moved. But there they are. Well, I hope you enjoyed. Next organization will be my scrap fabric. So I'll see you next time.